Thanks for tuning into Skylands Weekly. I'm your host, Melissa Estock on Channel 10. This week we have for you a special edition of Skylands Weekly where we take a look at Governor Chris Christie's Reform Agenda meeting in Hopatcong. But first, this week's highlighted event. The Springfest Flower and Garden Show is here. March 17th through the 20th, visit the Sussex County Fairgrounds to see showcases of horticulture and environmental stewardship. This event will help bring in the spring season. If you missed this year's event, make sure to tune in to Skylands Weekly for our coverage of the event, and make sure to save the dates for next year's Springfest. Coming up, our first look at the governor's meeting in Hopatcong. Stay tuned during this commercial break.
You'll find a festive Mexican atmosphere and the best tasting Mexican food right here in Sussex County at Riviera Maya in Branchville. From the second you enter, you'll see why people have been flocking to us to treat their taste buds to authentic Mexican dishes. Every Thursday night, come and enjoy the live mariachi band. The times are fun and the food is great, but there's really only one way to experience Riviera Maya. Come in and taste Sussex County's #1 Mexican restaurant, Riviera Maya.
Discover the Candy Apple Shop and choose from over 20 varieties of signature gourmet caramel apples, hand-dipped fresh in our shop. Our gourmet apples make great gifts and unique wedding favors. Let us satisfy your sweet tooth with our wide selection of scrumptious chocolates, decadent truffles, and even sugar-free chocolates. Come visit us next to the Apple Valley Inn Bed and Breakfast at the corner of 517 and 565 in Glenwood, or log on to our website, candyappleshop.com. Candy Apple Shop, where life just gets sweeter.
Here at Sussex County Community College, I really got the chance to be hands-on with my classes.
It was a big transition coming from the military to school, and being on a smaller campus, the professors give you a lot more attention that you need.
It was a good choice for me financially. I didn't want to move far away from home.
There's so many people that are so involved on campus, and the professors are just great.
When I transferred to Remco College, it was so seamless. All of my credits transferred.
At Sussex County Community College, you can start here and go anywhere.
The experienced cardiac care team at the Charles L. Tice Heart Center for Diagnostic Services at Newton Memorial Hospital offer a multitude of diagnostic tests specifically to improve your cardiovascular health. The center features a cardiac catheterization laboratory, today's highest standard for detecting and diagnosing cardiovascular disease. Our state-of-the-art technology also provides diagnostic and interventional peripheral vascular procedures. Talk to your physician about making the decision to choose the Charles L. Tice Heart Center. Learn more at alllifelong.org.
There's a hometown feeling when you walk through our door, like an old familiar friend. Lakeland Bank will do more.
Life can be complicated, but banking shouldn't be. I'm here to announce that we've expanded our services and updated our look. Come into any of our branches or visit us at lakelandbank.com and discover how.
We're simplifying banking for you.
Equal Housing Lender, member FDIC.
Welcome back. Thanks for watching this special edition of Skylands Weekly. Part 1 of our coverage of Governor Chris Christie's Reform Agenda meeting in Sussex County starts now. Take a look.
I appreciate so many of you coming out this morning to meet with me and talk to me about the issues that we care about in New Jersey and the work that we still have to get done. We need to get to work now on the things that are really important that ail our state. So what are those things? I talked about them in my State of the State. The first thing is to continue down the path of fiscal discipline that we started last year. Now, a lot of those things that we had to do last year were difficult and they were painful. And there were a lot of things that, given my own choice, I maybe wouldn't have wanted to do. But we got left with an $11 billion budget deficit. We got left with a state that's had, before I became governor, 115 tax and fee increases in the 8 years before I became governor. 115. Tax and fee increases on you in the 8 years before I became governor. And so there were very little choice from my perspective. We weren't raising taxes on the people of the state. You've paid enough already. And so what we needed to do was we needed to shrink the size of government and cut spending, and that's the way we needed to close that gap. Now, everybody will say, well, sure, they're in favor of cutting spending until you actually tell them what spending you're cutting. And they go, well, listen, Governor, why don't you think about cutting that spending over there, not the one that affects me? Because that one I don't really care about, but this one, this one is important to me. What we chose to do last year was to affect everybody. Now, that would make everybody somewhat unhappy, but also would make people understand that this was about shared sacrifice, that nobody was getting a free ride, that everybody was going to have to endure a little bit of pain, a little bit of sacrifice to get us where we needed to go. And that's what we did last year. And what you see now, the development of what's going on in our state now, is a growth from that hardship that we've put up with over the last year. And the budget that we put forward this year, once again, cuts spending, but also starts to restore some of the spending that I probably wouldn't have wanted to cut last year if I had a choice. For instance, we had to cut $820 million from aid to K-12 schools. Now, over a third of our budget goes to K-12 school aid. A third of our budget goes to K-12 school aid. So, you know, it's like what they said about why you rob banks. You know, you rob banks because that's where the money is. But when you look at a budget, there's certain places in the state budget where the money is. K-12 school aid, municipal aid, Medicaid, debt service, you can't cut that. So there are very few places in a budget where there's a lot of money that you're able to cut. Well, this year we've restored $250 million of that $820 million we cut. So in places all over the state who got their aid cut last year, they're seeing their aid increase. And you owe a great deal of that to the elected legislators you have up here who continue to talk to me when they made the tough budget vote they made last year that cut K-12 school aid to some of their own school districts. He said to me, Governor, we can do this year, but when things start to get better, our people need help. And I promised them that if they stood with me last year, I would stand with them this year, and we've done that, and you're seeing school aid go up in certain areas, so it helps to keep your property taxes from going up. We need to get people back to work. We need to get them back to work for their own self-esteem, first and foremost. Secondly, we need to get them back to work because it helps to make the state healthier from a fiscal perspective. And third, we need to get them back to work because we want to have a state that's vibrant and growing again for our children and our grandchildren. And making sure that New Jersey is, once again, an entrepreneurial state will help us to do that. So the budget that we put forward a few weeks ago is a budget that cuts spending by 2.6%. So for the second year in a row, we've cut real spending. Secondly, it starts to keep our promises on cutting taxes and reducing taxes to be able to grow jobs. Third, it makes sure that we start to restore some things that would affect our property taxes, like school aid. And we keep municipal aid flat this year. We don't cut that again. And so mayors and council people, committee people can look at that now and know that they have a steady stream of aid from the state, which will help them to better plan to keep your property taxes under control. And remember, for the first time, we have a 2% cap on property taxes, which we passed last year, and a 2% cap on arbitration awards, which help to drive costs. And so we're squeezing the money out of the system, which is the only way for us to get this under control. And it's hard work, and so people get angry about it. But when they do, I tell them, we're left with no choice because we don't have any more money. And unlike the federal government, we can't print it.
Still ahead, our continuation, part 2 of the governor's visit to Hopatcong Township. We'll show you more next.
What is propane? A certain warmth, a feeling of ease, a comfort in knowing that in your corner of the world, things are right. Propane. Clean, efficient, exceptional energy.
Call Eastern Propane 973-827-3000.
The Moorville Agency, providing insurance for towns, counties, schools, and public entities. The Moorville Agency, with over 30 years' experience in the field. The Moorville Agency. For more information, call George Moorville at 973-383-3110.
It began with a promise to care for our communities with the most advanced medicine possible. This promise has never mattered more. That's why from Denville to Dover, from Booton to Sussex, you'll see us bringing it to life every day Because the true test of a promise is how well you keep it. St. Clair's, turning promise into practice.
Aspen Companies, making homes and businesses look their best all year long with landscape design and seasonal maintenance. Materials used by Aspen Companies are always the best quality, including environmentally friendly fertilizer. Looking for that beautiful lawn to bring up the value of your home? Let Aspen Companies take care of your maintenance. They are a local business living and working in this community. Aspen Companies, serving your needs now and in the future. Call the staff at 1-800-507-7180 or visit their website, aspencompanies.biz. Sometimes in life we are faced with the unexpected, such as divorce, child custody, or support issues. That's when you need the preeminent law firm of Albino, Ullman, Lambers, and Pompelio. They live and work in Sussex County, and they are committed to their community and its residents. Visit their website at aullawfirm.com or call 973-729-3888 or 383-7600. Why go anywhere else?
Our New Jersey governor continued his thoughts on getting New Jersey back on track with controlling property taxes with caps, shared services, and benefit and pension reforms. Take a look.
Remember something. Anybody who tells you that there is one solution to the property tax problem in New Jersey is de facto lying to you. It is going to be pieces, a cap on levy, a cap on interest arbitration awards, more shared services, consolidation where appropriate. All of those things are building blocks. Pension reform, benefit reform, all those things are building blocks to controlling it. We didn't get to the worst property taxes in America, by accident. And we're not going to get out of it like this. It's going to take us some time, but we've got to do the hard things. The reason we haven't fixed it before is no one's been willing to do the hard things. It's hard to sit across from a group of, public employees, police officers, firefighters, teachers, and say, we need more from you. It's hard to sit across from folks and say you can't have this particular service or that you like. But if we want to control property taxes, that's what we have to do. What we're trying to do through all of this is to preserve local control, but enforce local accountability. So you want some Cadillac program in your town that's going to cost a lot of money because you guys really want it? I'm not going to sit in Trenton and say you can't have it. I'm going to say you're going to have to pay for it. You have to pay for it yourselves, and you're going to have to pay for it with a vote of the people in town who are going to be paying the bill. So that's what we're trying to do. So a lot of the things that you're concerned about, I'd like to get Trenton out of that business because we cause a lot of that overcharging too by things that we require. And so what I've said to the education commissioners, I want them to look through all the regulations of things that we mandate of school districts and then don't pay for, or it forces them to have to pay more of their own money because we're the ones who are requiring it. We elect school boards on the local level. You all have the greatest effect on that. Let's make them make the decisions, not have somebody in Trenton make the decisions.
Up next, the question and answer portion of the Christie Reform Agenda meeting. We'll be right back.